Hello, everyone. I'm Joanna De Ninis, and this is Truth Talk for April 2nd, 2026. Again, this is just off the cuff. I don't have this pre-scripted, pre-written, just going off the cuff here. The only thing I know is based on the events of today, is the topic. And the topic for today is perception reality. This one hits close to home for me because working in corporate America, I've run into this a lot where something I say, which by the way is always backed with good intentions, oftentimes was not received well. And, of course, I'm sitting here saying, well, my intentions are always good. But again, the person receiving, for whatever reason, probably because of their own personal filters, stuff that they've had from the past that revisits, they're disturbed. And for some reason, it would be my fault, right? So, as an empath, I read energy. So I pretty much know when someone is being sincere or not. To me, this is more important than anything else because if we all knew that whatever someone said, they said it with good intentions, and we just assume that, right? And so we didn't take things personally, or like you said, add that whole filter that causes us to misunderstand what someone's truly saying, we would see things differently. If we knew that, you know, we trusted or believed that most people have good intentions, we would see things differently. And if we went a little further and looked a little harder and tuned into our own intuition, we would know, we would get a gut feeling if something was really off. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I would focus more on the intuition, the quiet voice that comes from within, that feeling that you get when you feel like something's off. I would focus on that more than what's spoken at face value or what's written in an email. I would not so much focus on who's saying what, but how someone is saying it. I know that's confusing. Let me back up a little bit. So oftentimes an interaction or relationship with someone, let's just use work, it develops over time. And, you have good days and, where you're bonding and everything's good. And then you start to see things trip up, right? Things don't make sense that much and you're kind of confused and you're not sure. And then something disappointing happens and you're like, okay, something's not right, right? And then, another day, everything looks great and it's sunshine and roses and everything's wonderful. And then this person says something to you about what you're doing and it's not correct. I mean, you and you know what your intentions are, and you're like thrown off, right? So my mind automatically goes to the chain of events that led to that one particular time. And I say, okay, well, things were wishy-washy and I didn't fully trust the whole time. Although I gave them the benefit of the doubt, I just wasn't sure, right? So that's what I mean by quiet voice that kind of pays attention to all this stuff. And then in the moment that it matters, it quietly speaks to us. Okay. I think that's a better um, interpretation of what someone is truly trying to convey to us. You know, one thing that we can't expect people to read our minds. And a lot of times, I mean, I'm known to be very direct and I tell it like it is. And sometimes, it's pretty straightforward. From New York. gonna lie. It's one of my traits. But I can tell you that everything that I say, I speak from the heart. So if I'm hurt or I'm disappointed or I'm feeling something off, I'm going to say it. And I think that's a form of respect because, for me, I would want someone to tell me, right, if something's off and or didn't sit right with them. And at that point, I have the opportunity to clarify, to apologize if necessary, if I was misunderstood. I mean, because I think we should all be afforded that opportunity. Now, clearly, sometimes someone will say something or they'll give us an answer, and we then look back and go, okay, no, that makes sense. Maybe I was a little bit over exaggerating, or maybe I kind of, was operating from a place of fear. Maybe past experiences kind of bled into what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, if you still have a strong feeling that what you're being told is not sincere, and that feeling inside of you, that gut feeling is telling you something different, trust it. Okay. Because we are intuitive and we know if something's off. Okay. Again, I know it's kind of a confusing thing because initially I started saying, a lot of times people, they come from their filters, and it's true, we do. But if we first assume that, you know, everyone operates from good intentions, then we shouldn't jump the gun right away. But like I said, if a pattern of events start happening with someone that you know and it's squishy-washy and you're just not sure, and then it culminates to a point where now you're feeling that something's really off, at that point you have a better indication of, you know, what is this person's true intentions. Okay. So I hope I'm not confusing because some I do kind of feel like I'm confusing myself a little bit, but bottom line, perception is not reality. Perception is a person's reality based on their filter, okay? But it's not reality. I think if one says, I'm going to take what anyone says with good intentions, and there was nothing that predates this event that says there was something off, there should be no issue. But I'd say if there is a series of events that kind of makes us believe that something's not right, and then someone says something that doesn't sit well with us, I think that's more of an indication that there's something to be concerned about. And honestly, I think it's okay to be honest and tell someone how you feel. Now, I don't know how they're going to react. Um, they can certainly sugarcoat it and tell you that no, it's not true, or they can be sincere. And so again, it goes back to, are they truthful? Are they not? Are they being sincere? Are they not? It goes back to that gut feeling in past events. Um, and I'm not going to lie. Like I said, our filters come through. Our past hurts, our past fears, they creep in and they play a role. But at the end of the day, what your gut feeling tells you, that's what you go with. Okay. That is your reality. Okay. That is about as true as truth can get. Okay. Because there's a lot of people out there, there's quite a few people out there that can sell you a line or tell you something that you want to hear or say, something that's not quite true, but they make you think it's true. But the reality is that your intuition knows. And all I can say is trust that. Okay. And for those that like to dance around or sugarcoat the truth, to me, that's disrespectful. You don't have to be mean about it, but I think everyone's deserving of the truth. I know for myself, if if I could do something better and someone says it to me in a nice way or, constructively, I'll take that advice. I'll consider it. I'll certainly take it into consideration. Now, I may not 100% agree all the time. That's my choice, right? That's free will. But I'll take it into consideration. What we don't want is the total defensiveness that comes with a suggestion or saying how you feel, thinking that you're going to have a productive conversation. That unfortunately is not good. That doesn't get us anywhere. So I think, and this goes for people in power positions or leadership. You know, I for one am not one to um embellish things for just for the simple fact that they're my superior. And I know that that's probably not correct for most people would say, "Oh no, there's a certain way you got to approach it, you got to handle it, you got to yeah." Well, you know what? This is how I feel. I don't care what leadership position you're in, you're still a human. And in my opinion, we're all the same. We're equal. One person might have more responsibility over a group of people. That doesn't make them superior. Okay. And I know that that's how this world works. And perhaps I'm just not from this world. And maybe that's my problem. But I can tell you that for me, I'd rather be told the truth, good or not good. Just tell me the truth. And I'll tell you if I agree or I don't agree. And honestly, I can say that I will consider everything. But if my gut feeling tells me that it's off, that it's not aligned with what I know to be true, I'm going to question it, as we all should, because we shouldn't ever just take something at face value. We should look into it. We should critically think and think, is this really the truth? Is it my truth? Is it their truth? Is it really the truth? So I know a lot of you are walking around or, living day to day being politically correct and saying all the right things to the right people so that you can get ahead. And hey, good luck to you if you feel that that's the way to be. Personally, I like to be more genuine. I like to be more real. I like to treat people well, but I'm not going to embellish and I'm not going to just accept that someone says as truth when I know my truth. So, is perception reality? Not my opinion. Truth is reality. And I think what we really need to be asking ourselves is, can I trust this person that stands before me and says what they say? Is it the truth? Or do they have an agenda behind it? All I can say is trust your gut because that's what I do. And when something feels off and there's a chain of events that make me feel this way, it's the truth. It's my truth, and that's all I need. So I wish you guys all luck out there. Um, Personally, this is not an easy topic, at least not for me, but I think it's an important topic. And I think we all need to start showing up as real people, telling the truth with good intentions and not trying to embellish or be politically correct all the time. Just be real, tell the truth, be nice, be kind, but be real. All right. All right. It's 7:52 p.m. Again, it's April 2nd, 2026. You all have a great night and we'll talk tomorrow. Bye.